far. In the most of surprising cases, of course, Cape Verde is maybe the talk of every single town globally because of course, of how small the country is. A country of barely 500,000 people. You can imagine what it means to go to the world stage and outdo the big boys, the big countries, the very endowed nations, those that have huge resources to manage to prepare and to as well maybe motivate their players. But these are a country that has just like literally 500,000 people who produce a team that could quite literally make a miracle in sight of very, very progressive and intense competition from their group. Of course, you also want to look at it from the point of thinking Africa had sent 10 teams to the World Cup. Only Tunisia has dropped off. And you can also understand that Tunisia also faced a really tough group. It was not going to be 100%, of course, for any continent. But I think African continent scored the highest 90% in terms of, if you were to look at it in terms of percentage as compared to the other continents. This is huge, really big. I know the North American continent will argue 100%. Remember, those are just three countries, that is Mexico, Canada, and the USA. And the host, you expect, of course, that was not going to be an easy thing to do. That is to eliminate any of them this early. But I think Africa needs to take pride in the fact that there are indications that the African continent has got the World Cup title in sight for one of the countries in very near future. You never know. Even in this World Cup, you can look at how far Morocco went in the last World Cup in Qatar, and they went all the way to semi-finals. They lost in a very, very tight game that should have seen them go to the final. This time round, they've looked again very, very progressive, very firm and stable, and good enough in every section of the field, and have every sense of what it takes to be a finalist again. You cannot argue with Ivory Coast. You cannot underestimate Senegal as much as they struggled to get out of their group after a very difficult, of course, opposition that they faced. But you also have to look at the likes of South Africa. Some of the performances that were done, even by Algeria, for example, against Austria last evening, that was a jaw-dropping kind of performance, 3-3. And you can see the resilience, the fighting spirit of the African teams, that they struggle to make sure that they give the Africans a lot of pride. And what even excites me the most is that when you look at the World Cup, you've got like 70% of players are black players. It doesn't matter from which continent they're coming from. That is another big pride. I mean, we got to appreciate that Africans have got athleticism in them, and we've got a real bright future for the African football, and there is a very clear indication that winning the World Cup is not too far away, Zai.
All right, Francis, hold that thought. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll continue our conversation around Kenyan's anti-doping drive ahead of the Commonwealth Games.
Conversations are happening, and Channel Africa is at the heart of them. We tell the African story with clarity, pride, and purpose, reaching audiences that matter to your brand. Partner with us and connect your business with listeners across borders in multiple languages and markets. For partnership opportunities, sponsorship, or sales, email us at partnership@channelafrica.co.za. Channel Africa, the African perspective. The build-up, the breakdown, the atmosphere. Africa at Play with Zai Khan on the Channel Africa app and SABC Plus.
Welcome back, Africa at Play on Channel Africa. Before the break, Francis Mutegi was telling us why Africa's incredible World Cup showing could be a defining moment for the continent's football. Now, we get from football to the track. Francis, Kenya, they've worked hard to clean up athletics ahead of the Commonwealth Games. What's the latest on the country's anti-doping drive? And are officials confident these measures will protect Kenya's reputation on the global stage?
Indeed, there is a lot of effort trying to make up the process of cleaning up the mess that has been the Kenyan athletics in terms of doping scandals that have hit the field for the last about a decade or so. And it comes on the backdrop of some really bad bloat in the fact that Kibiwot Kandie, one of the renowned Kenyan athletes, the man who for I think a whole year in 2020 December to 2021 November, he was holding the world record in the men's half marathon, and this time round he's been slapped with a ban of 7 years, and the reason is that he has failed the procedures of anti-doping, and in this case, he failed to present a sample for testing, and that was the punishment that he has gotten from Athletes Integrity Unit of the World Athletics, and that is already a big blood that we've got to get eliminated out of the Kenyan athletics. And in this particular case, now as they prepare the team for the Commonwealth Games that are happening very soon in Glasgow, Scotland, immediately after the World Cup, is the effort by the Anti-Doping Agency of Kenya, ADAC, who have organized the testing of Kenyan athletes in virtually every sense, particularly every week. They've got to go through some testing procedures in field and out of field. And in this case, of course, the intention is to make sure that no athletes go to those games and get found to have in any way contravened the protocols of testing or the protocols of anti-doping procedures. And in that case, therefore, you can imagine that Kenya will have to be very proud of the team that they will be sending to Glasgow if this process is respected and is done with a lot of integrity. Otherwise, there is not going to be another opportunity for anyone again to embarrass the entire country. That has been the argument of the Anti-Doping Agency and Athletics Kenya, as well as the government of Kenya. And so the expectation now is that they will send a totally clean and properly prepared team that will not bring a bloat there in future, as has been the case there before. Of course, that does not take away the athletes' talent, and so, of course, the talents that the country has will have to be showcased in the appropriate manner in Scotland next month. And so we wait and see how that happens. But for now, I think the efforts are very, very clear beyond what has been seen before in terms of preparing the team and clearing the country of such messes that have come there earlier in terms of anti-doping agencies' efforts. Zai.
Francis, I have to say it's always great catching up. Thanks for flying the East African flag for us. We'll keep an eye on both the football celebrations, and I'm sure you're going to be doing the same, as well as the race against doping. So
I can imagine that. That is for sure. South Africa should be celebrating. It was very, very painful at the beginning of the tournament, but they've come out really resilient, and I am really impressed, and I was very happy, and I believe they will give their opponents some real tough game come to later this day.
From your lips to the football god's ears. Thanks so much, Francis. Take care.
You're welcome.
That's Francis Mutegi. He's our East Africa correspondent right here on Africa at Play.